I don't really like have a script or anything. I just kind of have pinpoints of what I want to talk about. I did kind of want to discuss things that happened on the trip, which is why I'm not streaming until the 12th. So please be mindful. I will be going over sensitive topics. If anybody doesn't want to hear any of them, I suggest you click off. The topics I'm going to be going over is medical problems, mental health, addiction, and sewer slide or offing because I don't want to say it on TikTok. I don't want to get banned. With that out of the way, if people aren't comfortable with those topics, you can click off stream or like the video so you can like come and watch it later. I want to give context before I talk about the further stuff on why I'm not streaming until the 12th because I do need a bit of time to talk about it. I did want to mention like this isn't like oh like me and Pandas are over kind of thing, but I did want to give context. So how it first started is the day me and Pandas were hanging out. We were like out to get like sushi, this like rotating sushi belt, and then we like went to a manga store right after. I was taking photos of like this pin, like this like Nogotan pin, because it was like an accessory, and I asked him to airdrop me instead of send it to me because he doesn't have signal. So he kind of like panicked and hid his phone. It was just like we never hide our phones. Like usually our phones are our privacy, you know? Like it's not like we go through each other's phone or anything. We kind of like build that trust. So grabbed his phone because I didn't know what he was hiding, and it was just out of pure panic. I felt like I was a bit harsh with it. Again, I ended up seeing something I shouldn't have, and this is where the addiction comes into play. When it comes to something you need to talk to your partner about, you need to really communicate with them. For me, it was just kind of that thing where it was mentioned once. I do remember him talking to me about it. Yeah, it was in the back of my mind. I wasn't really mad or upset. I did know about it, but it wasn't like really briefly touched on. I was like so in shock. I was just like, you know what, we're just gonna get in the car and go home. This was like around noon-ish, like around 1 or 2 p.m. So we were supposed to go to the mall right after, but we ended up not going. And like the car ride was semi-blurry. Whenever I was talking to him in the car, it was, I'm not mad at you. I'm more of like disappointed. I'm not trying to put him under the bus or anything. I remember like so many emotions going through my head, and I was speeding because of how upset I was. I can't be mad because he did mention it before, but at the same time, the way I was expressing how upset I was, I'm acting like my older sister whenever I was living with her, and I think I mentioned it a few times. The living situation wasn't the best because it felt like I'm acting like somebody who put me through so much pain, and I shouldn't act like this. Because it's not like the end of the world or anything. Like we've been together for almost 3 years, and like after we got home, we just kind of like not separated. Like I was in my bed and there was like another bed on the other side of the room because I have a bunk bed, but I separate the beds because I don't like going on top of the bunk bed. I went over to him and he was kind of like laying on his side, and I think he was like almost on the verge of falling asleep, but I had like walked over to him and got into bed with him and I like cuddled him after. We just kind of like talked it out, and I was just like, "Hey, you probably should have like told me this like a lot sooner. You should have like talked it out with me rather than mentioning it once and never bringing it up the rest of the relationship." It was like kind of like a stem off of things that's happened to him in the past. So that's where that addiction formed, and I was just like, "Well, you need to talk to me about it because I'm your partner. Like, it's not something you should hide from me." And then after we had that conversation, he talked it out with his family, and we pretty much resolved it. That context comes into the context of what had happened before the trip, October or September of last year. I had pretty much asked my mom's boyfriend that she was dating like twice if he can help me with like saving requirements for moving over to the UK. Like $50,000 or something. But like overall it's like a little bit more than that. And I remember asking him twice, like I think 2 months apart. Okay, after the first two times I had asked, I we ended up like missing out on our second year anniversary because I know our first year anniversary was when we went to go see each other for the first time. This was like a year into our relationship, and that's when I got engaged. So like literally a year into our relationship. And so like after that, that was when I asked the two times, and then I had asked a third time, which was like after we missed our second anniversary because we were like saving up money because we didn't get a direct answer. And so the third time I asked, he pretty much told me like, oh, like you need to ask your mom to see if it's okay, like if I'm giving you this amount of money, like which is a lot, you need to ask your mom if it's okay. So I pretty much talked with her that same night. And so after talking with her, she was just like, yeah, that's fine. Just like go and talk to him. So I did, like literally the next day, because I was just like, I want this feature and like this is something I want. I can't remember. I think it was June. I had asked him a fourth time because I didn't want to be pushy, but I feel like at the same time, if you're kind of like egging it on, it would just kind of be like, it's implying that you're trying to help. He was just like, I'm not sure what his intentions are. I've never met him. You two are engaged, but I've never met him. I would want to meet him and like spend time with like the family. Yes, he could have asked that sooner, but at the same time, we ended up missing our second anniversary because we were just like, oh, he's going to help us out. We're not going to go see each other if we're having to save up money. I was initially I was like a bit upset because we had to miss out on our second anniversary. So I was just like, you know what? He can come see me for my birthday. We can like meet all the family, do all that stuff. He got his passport renewed. He got like all the like requirements, like all like pretty much everything updated just for him to come over and see me. I don't know. The second day he was here, we had arranged like a family meal where it's just like my siblings, my mom, mama's boyfriend, him meeting everybody. I thought it was great. Like I thought we were all getting along. It seemed pretty fine to me. I believe he was here from August 20th to September 5th. So, fast forward to second family dinner that I had planned because it was supposed to be the serious family dinner where we all talk about everything we needed to talk about. So, after we had dinner, like at first they were getting up to leave and I was just like, "Oh, like thought I'd brought up that I wanted to talk, like or like have a conversation because like, that was to me that was the whole point of the family dinner the second time we had it." He was just like, "Oh, like are we gonna leave or are we gonna like talk?" And I was just like, "Yeah, I wanted to have that talk because it just felt like the elephant in the room pretty much." I was just like, "Well, I wanted to talk about our visas and like future wise. Hey, like if I were to like go over there and get married to Kansas and build up that savings, like this is how long it would be, like kind of like I was just insinuating that I wanted to take the steps to move over to the UK, which would require a marriage visa, which is me going over there and getting married, and then a spousal visa, which is after we get married. I have to have a certain amount of savings based on Panzis's income. So if he made 8.4 thousand pounds yearly, I would have to have $90,000 USD in my savings for 6 months. But if he had made 13,000 yearly, then that would mean I would have to have 75,000 USD in my account for 6 months. For some reason, I don't fucking know why it applies like this, but it's based off combined income. It doesn't include like income from the US if your partner's like from the US. So, that being said, my savings would have to be based off Panzis's income, if that makes sense. Besides that, I was just like, it was never a good idea. We didn't intend for him to come to the US and like get married over here anyways, because we had pretty much planned our future for me to move over there, and that's what I wanted. And pretty much me explaining the visas to my mom's boyfriend, he was more of like insistent on Panzis moving over to the US. Not to mention, like I feel like talking to him about like him moving over here and getting a citizenship in the US was like fairly dense, but I didn't want to say anything about it because one, I don't know if you guys are aware, if for anybody who lives in the US, but the situation with ICE and immigration is really fucking bad right now. So, like either way, if Pence were to come over here and get US citizenship, it would never like worked out because either way they like fucking like deport him. I don't know if anybody has seen this video.
My immigrant mother just called me on the phone innocently asking me if she should start carrying her passport in case they start doing mass deportations to prove that she's a citizen.
And I'm just like, what if he's just taken away from me at some point while getting his US citizenship? It's just not good. Not to mention that would be heartbreaking to me. But besides that, I didn't want to like have him live in the US regardless. I don't know if anybody lives in Texas or in Houston specifically. A cashier ended up giving this customer change, and that customer got so upset because they thought that the cashier gave them the wrong change, so they ended up shooting the cashier. See, this is like literally the like whole reason I don't want him to live over here, because it's just like it's dangerous. People just do shit out of impulse. Like the main reason I don't want him to like live over here. Anybody in the US can get a gun. Whether you're 16, whether you have the money for it, anybody can get a gun, which is my biggest fear. Again, it's easy access to guns in the US. There's no restrictions on guns, which also terrifies me. He had made the argument saying like it would take less time for him to get a US citizenship and like there's more job opportunities and blah blah blah. And I'm gonna be 100%. There isn't. He mentioned that we were moving to a new house, and he pretty much was just like, I'll offer for you guys to live in the pool house. You guys don't have to pay rent just as long as you help around the house, which is nice and all. But I also have to take in consideration, like say if we were to like live in the pool house, like who's gonna buy groceries, who's earning the money, kind of thing. Yes, it's nice. Yes, it is a really nice offer, but at the same time, living in a nice area, being robbed is a low chance, but it's never zero. I know my mom's boyfriend tried pushing the point on offering to buy us a car or like a house if we ever got married over here. And I remember explaining to him, like, it's a really nice offer, like, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's the best idea for Kansas to move over here. And that's just for safety reasons. And either way, this isn't like something that I want. I remember getting like teary eyed and I was like visibly like upset. But like my eyes were like watering at that point. This isn't something I want future wise. At that point, that's when like my mom butted in. She was just like, oh, like that's only if you want to. Like it's your choice if you want to move over there. And I still like prefer to move over there. This is something we talked about since we got together. And I pretty much pointed out the main points on why I wanted to move over there. As I was explaining the reasons why I wanted to move over there, my mom's boyfriend was just nodding his head like no, like as if it wasn't a choice for me to explain why I wanted to move over there. And it just upset me even more because this isn't the man who's engaged to Kansas. I am. Yes, I understand you're worried for my safety. You want him to come over to live over here, but to me, you're not the one engaged to him. But even then, he was fairly insistent on him moving over here to get citizenship, and that was what overly upset me. Because why is what you want having to be pushed on something that isn't what I want? This isn't your future. This is my future. And again, it was like months of asking for help because he's like an IT owner or something. I can't even remember what job he does. But either way, he has the money. Why even go through this entire effort of having this like entire trip planned for meeting family? Just more of just like I didn't want Pansis to give off like a bad impression. I've like talked to him like every single day. I know him better than anybody else and I know what his intentions are and they're not bad because we both have the same intentions like future wise. And it's just having a future that I wanted be rejected like right in front of my face was oh god. Well, I'm like tearing up. It was just like upsetting to me. Even after like the conversation of the dinner, they pretty much both explained that like, oh, we're too young to marry and you guys need more time to think about it. And oh, we don't want you to make the same mistakes as us. Like you guys are too young to marry. Like it, I feel like he was just like, oh, like you guys need to visit each other more to understand how both of you get the feeling of living together before making a decision. Even after thinking about it after the dinner, it was you don't want me to make the same mistakes as when you were younger, but my problem is I'm not you. Because even then, the whole addiction thing with Pansis, we talked it out. We worked it through. We didn't like separate. We didn't get mad at each other. It was a brief moment of like disappointment, but even in the end, yes, it was a problem. Yes, we can work on it. It's something that we can change. And either way, I felt like that at the like that was pretty much the like entire conversation. But even then, like even after the dinner, it was more just like I understand it's like a long distance relationship, but at the same time, we talk every single day. Like even when Pantas is at work or even when I'm at work, we talk every single day. There's not a day that we miss. Like even if we miss a day or two without talking to each other because of work and like the time zones. At the end of the day, we get in VC, we like turn on our cameras, go to bed, we see each other sleeping. How I make the most out of long distance relationship because it's just like you talk to them every single day. You already know like how their like habits are. It's like I get it. It's like long distance isn't the same as like in-person relationships, but at the same time, we both make the most out of it. I get it. From their perspective, we need more time, but the problem is we've already had enough time within the span of almost 3 years to kind of have that feeling of already knowing how each other have habits that we know of, I asked him to call his mom after the dinner because I wanted to see how she felt about it. Like she was pretty much like, yeah, he seems like very insistent on it, but like it felt like he would give in eventually because my mom seems to be on my side. I didn't want to like say anything on the way home. I was on the verge of tears by then. And I remember when I got home, I was just crying in Pence's arms, explaining how it felt like we were burning money if we kept planning these trips. How it isn't the, oh God, bro, like it isn't the future that I wanted. It just kind of sucked because it all just kind of hit me at once. It just felt like we pretty much ripped an entire chunk into our savings just for him to come over here and meet my family and pretty much give off like a really good impression just for it to be like, oh, you guys need more time. Which sucks to me because it's just like, yeah, we pretty much did rip, like, we pretty much did burn money at that point. Like, it could have gone to bills or like medication. What was the point of him coming over to meet everybody if it was just pretty much burning money at that point? Kansas was like sitting with me. He was just like explaining how it was going to be okay, and that we just needed to keep talking to my mom's boyfriend because it seemed like my mom was on my side, but it just felt like she only changed it whenever I was visibly upset. So I was just like, I don't even know. And so like after we like pretty much had like 2 hours of just like crying, we had like went to go get food afterwards. I just need to get my mind off of it. I just need to like think about it tomorrow. Because if I keep thinking about it, I'm just gonna like keep myself up. I didn't even know what to do at that point. Like literally the rest of the trip, it was just, yeah, I could be upset the rest of the trip, but at the same time, he's here to visit. It's like I can be upset later. Like I can worry about it later. So even when Panzus originally booked the trip to come over here, even like his family was just like iffy about it, but it's not like he was staying over here. Even his dad like went to his mom to convince him not to go. And in the end, he was just like, "Oh, like I can't stop you from doing anything. Like you're like a grown adult. Like I don't want to seem like I'm like vent like oh what the fuck is it like trauma dumping or anything or like venting. It just feels like I need to explain to my viewers just what's going on and how I need like a week to kind of like gather myself. I'm still all over the place. I'm still like literally the whole thing like fucked me up. Like even then like after Pansis left, I just couldn't help but cry on the way home because I was just like I don't even know what to do. The way the U.S. is right now is not the best, and it's just awful. I can't even imagine Pansis living over here in the US. Even when I was like talking to my therapist about it, like even she saw it as a good idea because even then like the main reason why I went to my therapist is because of the trauma that happened to me in 2022 around my birthday. Around that time I was diagnosed with MDD and PTSD, which is like I don't know, it just like really affected me like horribly. Even when we like me and Pansis initially started dating in 2023, it just felt like, maybe things can get better. When I was still seeing my therapist and I was still on antidepressants, it just felt like this is all I'm going to be, and I had planned it on ending it sooner than I thought it would because the anniversary of my trauma is coming up on my birthday. It's literally like the one thing that I could have enjoyed out of the entire year like ruined for me. And when Pansis asked me out, I just felt like, maybe it will get better. And it did. I wasn't my best, and living a new life was just something that could have helped me a lot better. I could just forget it and like leave it all behind. And it's just like, yeah, I could. Even after making the like police report, I was still making like a downward spiral because even then like the police didn't do anything about it. And I was just stuck. Like it just felt like I was stuck here with like everything that's happened to me and nothing was done about it. Living in the UK just felt like just that one escape that I could do something about. And it just like felt awful to me that like all of these like emotions were like hitting me at once, because it's just like at the same time I could either A, risk Panzas' safety to come move over here, or I could have everything I have all at once if I move over there. The main reason I'm here today is because of Panzas. The 99 like percent of reason that I'm still here. Even when he did ask me out, I was just like, hey, I'm like going through a lot. I have all these things wrong with me, like diagnosed with heart block, and it was like an issue that they found like way early when I was in high school, and I didn't get fully diagnosed until I was just like old enough. And for those who don't know, heart block is where like your heartbeat is like irregular and it's like slow. It's either too slow or it's too fast. But in my case, it's too slow. I was just like telling him, I was just like, hey, I have all these issues wrong with me. Like, are you, like, I'm just warning you right now. And even then, he pretty much assured me that it was going to work out. Even then, like, explaining it to him, it was just like the one thing that like kept me going. Even when I had like my ups and downs, Kansas was like the only partner that like didn't leave or like argue when I needed him. He was just sitting through everything I had and resolved our problems. Like he didn't argue or like leave. The only person who understood me even when it was like very difficult to do so. Throughout the, like all the relationships I've had, Pans was like the only person to like not use my trauma against me or like not use me for like my body or like leave or argue when I needed him the most, or like he was pretty much the one to like talk to me like every single time we had a problem. Like anytime we had like an issue, which was rarely because we would always talk every single day. We would always talk through it even when I was like at my worst and I was like self-sabotaging and I was pushing him away. He pretty much stuck through it. The point I like my mom's boyfriend was making, I thought was just like very fucking pointless, because it's just like why wouldn't I know his intentions, like why wouldn't I know Panzas's intentions towards me if we were in VC every day, we're always texting every day, we're always like in sleep call together like every single day that we've dated, like he's never missed one unless we were like too busy or we just like couldn't talk that day. And like either way, like it just really just tore me, because it's just like staying in the US and getting like medical treatment, like me saving up the same amount of money, like say if like the rounded cost of my medical treatment for a heart block and like everything else is like $90,000. Staying in the US and getting that medical treatment is just as expensive as me getting married to Kansas and moving to the UK while paying for private healthcare. Like both are relatively the same cost, but one of them is fairly involved in the future that I want, rather than me being stuck here in the US and paying for medical treatment which could be free in the UK. Because it just feels like streaming is my only option to avoid my PTSD, and it just fucking sucks. And I don't want to be the type to like ask for money from anybody. I don't want to be like the type to be like, "Oh, you guys should help me out." No, it's just more just like I want you to have an understanding of where I'm coming from, and more of just like why I'm kind of like in shambles for like a week until I like can gather myself a bit. Even like talking to Pansis about it, I debated on whether to like have a GoFundMe at some point, but I was just like I don't want to seem like I'm asking for too much, or like I'm like a money beggar or anything. It shouldn't be other people's dependency. It should be my dependency. But at the same time, I'm just more of just like a remote job, or just like streaming is, it just feels like my only option at this point, or like doing commissions just feels like my only option at this point. If like to me, it feels like a remote job or like streaming seems like my only option, but at the same time, like I know Twitch takes like a percentage of people who gift me, or like same with TikTok, but TikTok is like 70% or something. I don't really know where to go from here. It just seems like that's all I wanted to talk about, I think. I did think about opening a Patreon for like NSFW like drawings, because more just like, yeah, I do NSFW drawings, so it's not like overly content. I did think about posting them on Twitter, but Twitter uses AI to reconstruct drawings, so they literally just take your art. So I was just like, yeah, Twitter isn't an option anymore. but besides that, I do plan, like, again, I do plan on streaming again on the on September 12th, and I also plan on opening commissions on the 12th, so that kind of like helps me out a little bit. But at the same time, I'm probably gonna ask, like, I'll probably ask my friends along with the streaming server if I should open, like a Patreon or like whatchamacallit, a GoFundMe. Like, I do have my commission sheet like ready and set for the 12th. I'll probably figure out whether I'm like gonna start a Patreon for NSFW or like open a GoFundMe or like just kind of like set my like Cash App or like PayPal if anybody just wants to help, because I know those platforms along with Twitch and TikTok take a percentage of people like donating. But I think that's all I really wanted to talk about. I'm kind of yapping at this point, but good night. I hope you all had a good day today, a good evening, and I'll see y'all September 12th this Friday. All right, bye. Love you guys.